Welcome back, dear viewers. In today's video I will show my game against very strong Dutch player Erwin Lamy. Yes, this was, if I'm not mistaken, 7th round. I had 5 out of 5 and then I drew my 6th round against Antonios Pavlidis, and in round 7 we faced each other. I had black pieces, and I will keep here engines on. Yes, it was a very long game. Yes, d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, d5. I noticed that very often Erwin here goes knight c3, but in our game he preferred g3, so I did not really expect g3. And at home I had prepared this line, dxc, bishop g2, a6, and short castle knight c6. Here many moves are possible: queen c2, knight bd2, e3, a4, knight c3, bishop g5, and e3. And I should say that in this year, some months ago, I had online match, rapid match against Bok Benjamin, another very strong Dutch player. Yes, in that match I played bishop d7, queen e2, bishop d6 as in this game. I also played rook b8, knight fd2, e5, bishop takes, b takes c, d takes c, knight g4, knight takes c4, bishop e6, knight bd2. Yes, I think bishop b4, b3, I think h5 did I play, and h3, bishop c3, bishop a3, I took on a1, queen takes a1, queen d3, and here Benjamin went wrong. He took h takes g, and played queen b1, and after bishop d5 he is in some trouble. After f3, queen e2, I think black is already winning. Yes, queen d4 is one of the options here. Another move is maybe queen c1, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, but I thought during the game that most likely my opponent checked my game against Benjamin and came well prepared. For that reason I decided to go for another move, bishop d7, queen e2, bishop d6, queen c4, short castle. Yes, I played this position against Benjamin as well. Here he reacted knight bd2, and I played knight b4, which is not the strongest, and I think after queen e2 white is being slightly better. Yes, rook c8, rook e8 are the possible options, as well as queen e7. Of course, after my game against Benjamin, I checked it much deeper, and I realized that it's possible to play the game. So queen e7 with the intention always to go e5. For example, if b3, natural development, later on bishop b2, you just go e5. Yes, queen e2, e5, d takes c, and here very often you don't take with the knight because knight takes e5, bishop e5, knight c4 comes, and then white will most likely trade his knight with the dark squared bishop. So bishop takes e5 you usually take. Of course, if knight e5, then bishop b5 ideas are coming. Knight c4, and here I went wrong, rook a d8. Later on I checked my notes and I saw that rook a d8 is in my notes and black is getting equality. So if I'm not mistaken, here instead of queen e2, queen b3 is the queen c2, I apologize, queen c2, knight b4, queen b3, c5 is the strongest. Yes, I did not remember, I did not find rook a8. I played bishop d4, not the strongest, and white is getting some achievements. Takes, Yes, queen d2 or queen d1, knight goes back, b3, with the threat to go bishop a3, bishop g4, and here my opponent played f3. I was also considering f3 during the game, otherwise I wanted to go queen e6 and then always bishop h3. I thought I will place my rooks on e8 and d8. Yes, that's why I thought f3 is very important. Yes, but engine doesn't like it much, so this, queen e2, bishop e6, bishop b2, and here, yes, I saw bishop c4, of course, b takes c, queen c4 is not possible because of queen e3, and engine says after queen c5 you can simply ignore bishop f6, g takes f, and you don't have any problems. Another move is being a5, a4, which I considered but did not understand what I am getting after pushing a5, a4. Now, of course, after the game, it is obvious that by going a5, a4, I'm creating target and weakness on b3. Yes, but I decided to stick another very healthy idea, just doubling my rooks on d file. So rook d7, rook d1, rook d8, takes, knight d2. Yes, very classy move, despite engine doesn't like it. So I thought my opponent simply wants to go knight f1 and then e4 and then knight e3, because here whenever you go e4 then bishop c4 ideas are possible. So knight d2, and here for example I did not even seriously consider h5. Knight b4 of course I saw, b5 I don't think I really considered. So bishop f5 I played, I think here e4 I'm having queen c5 check at least, so knight f1, bishop d3, queen f2, and yes, I played knight e5, again not the strongest. Yes, I saw knight b4 idea, but I did not like it, I guess because of bishop a3. So knight e5, rook d1. Yes, for example here if you go e4 then bishop f1, and bishop f1 does not work because of rook d2. So rook d1, I took bishop f1 here after rook d7. This is maybe much better move order. So queen takes f1, knight d5. Yes, this was very concrete decision. I traded my bishop just to go knight d5, and here concretely everything seems working, like bishop e5, queen e5, e4. Yes, my idea was to go knight e3, and if queen e2, then knight e3 tactical idea works. So e4, here engine even likes knight c3, rook d7, knight d7, bishop c3, queen c5. I played knight d3 takes, and here of course I don't like my decision taking with the queen. I could just take knight d7, and if you move the queen, knight g2, king g2, and I don't think it's let's say unpleasant for black at all. So I took queen d7, queen c1, knight d3 is the only move, because if you take knight g2 then bishop e5. So knight d3 takes, and surprisingly after bishop f1 my knight has some problems. I could of course go knight d1, but I realized that queen d3 move is there, so I played g6, queen c3, knight d1, queen d3. My opponent decided to force me, and here I should have take on d3, bishop d3, but as you can see I had only 1.5 minutes, and I was scared of losing my knight on d1, because I didn't see any clear way to free my knight. That's why I played queen d6. I can say that I made this move because I was already panicking. Yes, and my point was to, despite I'm creating target and weakness on d6, but my point was later on with the knight on c3 I can always go d5 and try to free my knight. Of course I did not understand and see why a4, so bishop d3. Yes, here I realized that I'm having two options. One is king f8, king e7, and the other is king g7, king f6, and king e5. So knight will go to c3, king is coming to e5, and then maybe king can also enter to d4. So white should play f4 probably when black is having king on f6, and then already knight e3, knight g4 ideas can be possible. But again, I was in time trouble and I played king f8, king f1, knight c3, attacking the pawn, a3, king e7. For example, engine here likes king f2, d5, king e3, d takes, f takes. So king e1 by my opponent, I played d5, king d2, d takes c. Yes, king c3 takes the game, ends in a draw, f takes c, knight b5, and of course here bishop takes b5, a takes b. And we crossed, as you can see, time control, and after 30 minutes increment, of course king c3, king d6, king b4, king c6. And I thought it will be very easy draw, but it was not easy at all. I was considering king a5 move, which was very interesting. Right now, because I'm recording this video maybe about 2 weeks after the game, I don't exactly remember what I calculated. But I think my point was, if you go king a5, let's say I go f6, you go b4, I go some h5, and if you go h4, I wanted to go g5. Yes, that was my point. But after spending some time, Erwin played a4 and b takes, and this also not easy to calculate. Yes, I was finding, I kept finding good moves. g4, I played g5, e5, h6, king c6, as you can see, king d7, the only move, f6, again the only move, takes, and the only move. And luckily or surprisingly, black is not losing. Yes, if you go king f4, then b4 comes, and king e3, not really b3, but king a4 is enough. So this, and eventually we got this endgame, which is considered drawish, but over the board with only few minutes on clock, very, very unpleasant. The only idea you should know, you try to keep your king as far as you can, better somewhere in the corner, like on a1, a2. Logically, you want to go back with your king, like king b6, king c7, and keep it closer to the f8, g8, h8 squares, but you should keep it as far as you can. Otherwise, very often queen's trade is possible. So I played queen h1, queen g5, and yes, as you can see, I'm following the plan I mentioned. And if opponent moves the king to push the pawn, I keep checking. But here he found quite unpleasant idea, bringing the king closer to my king. So as you can see, only having less than 1 minute, I managed to find many important moves. For example, here if you take queen h6, then simply just queen a6 and then queen b5 and the checkmate. Yes, and especially such quiet moves are very hard to play. Yes, queen f7 and queen f6, queen h8. And especially this was another hard moment was, so he got his pawn on h6, and here as you can see, queen d5 was not the strongest, and after king f2 white is achieving something, and engine at least shows +2. Queen e4 or queen e2. Yes, king e1 was. Yes, but it was very unpleasant. It was a real torture, I would say, because he plays and then like 10, 15 moves or 20 moves, and then he pushes h5 and another 20 moves and then h6. And he got his chances, and here, yes, he played king c5. I think already I found the right way to check opponent's king, and here he of course missed king c5. He played king c5 and missed queen c2, and after queen c2 it's a stalemate, and I managed to make a draw. Very tough endgame, tough opponent. Yes. Thank you very much for your attention. Hope you liked this video, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please leave your comments. Have you ever played similar endgames, and how difficult you think it is to hold this kind of endgames? Thank you.